Hello walkers, and welcome back to Billings, Montana. It is, I forgot to look all this up. Well, first of all, it's a little windy, so hopefully this will work out. It won't be too noisy. I've got a third-party microphone on my DJI Osmo Pocket today. It is currently 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 degrees Celsius. And it's supposed to get up to 39 degrees Celsius or 100 degrees today. We are starting out at the Yellowstone Kelly interpretive site in up on Swords Park, up on the Rimrock. And I'm going to take you along the Rimrock today, a section that we didn't do last winter. I will try to link below to that video. It was quite cold, about 20 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not sure what the Celsius on that is. Below zero. Across the way there is the Yellowstone River. Above that, I believe, is the Four Dances Trail sections. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that today. It's warm, dry, and kind of snaky. Here is Yellowstone Kelly's final resting place. I'm going to tell you a little bit about him in just a minute. Bunch of interpretive signs about this location. But I want to show you a couple things down here below Billings. You've got the gas refineries right there, and then a little bit before that is the stockyards where they have auctions. And then over to our left here, that's I-90 down there, Interstate 90. Just barely visible is the Billings Metro Park and State Fairgrounds. Although there is another fairgrounds in Great Falls where they have the big state fair. Like, thumbs up, comments, all that stuff. Love the comments. If you have info on Billings or this Yellowstone Kelly area, please comment below. I'm going to say some things here that probably might be a little contentious, so keep your comments respectful. I understand you may disagree with me, but that's okay. This is a burial site for, as I said, Yellowstone Kelly. I think his name was Luther Sage Kelly, came from back east. It's also a place where the Absalaga people, or the Crow, commonly known, had their elevated burials. I forget what the term they use for that. But it was a burial site for them as well as another Colson, I think it was, a little settlement back in the 1800s. Had a burial area down below in Boot Hill. Yellowstone Kelly was a scout, army man, trapper, guide, etc. out here, hunter, trapper. And I say controversial because he's very much celebrated by this installation, and there's a lot made of the promise that Billings made to him at one point to have a resting place here. He had moved down to California and wanted to be buried back here in 1929 when he passed away at, I think, 80, almost 80 years old. Here's Billings downtown area. I'll try and do another walk down there, summer walk down there. But what they don't mention is, when viewed through a modern lens, contemporary lens, he contributed a lot to the wars against native peoples and the trapping of predators and and buffalo exterminations and all that stuff. At the time, that was the thing to do. Looking back, we realize, I think, most of us, that all that could have been handled better. So there's this big site has been put together in 2017 by, I think it's the Chamber of Commerce, but I could be wrong about that. I just read a bunch of interpretive signs and I guess I forgot some of the details. Looking back here, we are headed west on this trail. There's the Billings Airport way up here, and there's this trail, the let me look it up again. I think it's the, sorry. Where's that trail? The Chief Black Otter Trail we're going to drop down into here along the Rimrock. And it goes for several miles along the Rimrock. A lot of people out here today running and biking and exercising. It's really kind of a neat community space. And this sort of main drag highway over here is the Conrad Burns Highway. He was a longtime Montana politician and senator. He passed away about 10 years ago, I think. Maybe not quite that long. He was a Republican, conservative, and I think he was unseated by John Tester, who is one of our current senators. Some great interpretive signs up here and benches. I'm going to walk out here onto the Rimrock and give you a better view. And don't get frightened, I am going to point the camera down here. You can see kind of the drop. It gets even more of a precipice further along. But beautiful views of the countryside. I think those are the Absaricas down there, or beartooths. I've been looking into my analytics for this channel, trying to make it better, more valuable to you guys. And one of the things that I've learned is I come up a lot in searches for virtual treadmill scenery and virtual travel. In fact, the Switzerland walk from Van Leechen was featured in recently both Travel and Leisure and NPR.org about virtual travel during the quarantine. So that was pretty sweet. And so I'm supposed to mention those names. Another thing to mention is the storytelling. That's pretty important from what my research that I've been doing. And I'm trying to come up with how to apply that to these walks. Whether to do more research and tell a story about Billings, or rattle off various facts at pertinent times. So if you have any suggestions on that, what you'd like to hear, the kind of information you'd like to learn on these walks, please put them in the comments below. It'd be very helpful. A lot of you responded to previous questions, and that was great information to get about how you're using these and what you'd like to see and the best length, etc. All that's very valuable to me, and I appreciate it. As are corrections or information that I missed. I try to give you guys accurate and complete information, but sometimes I drop the ball on that. Or pronunciations. I get pronunciations wrong a lot, especially in other countries with languages that I can't quite wrap my mouth around. So those are all much appreciated. It is mid-August, I don't think I said that, and about 8 a.m. So shouldn't be too hot until noon or so when it hits 90s. And then we've got to deal with the super hot heat. And because it's so dry here, and because we don't get a lot of super hot days, not many people actually have air conditioning. It was 59 degrees Fahrenheit when I woke up this morning, which is nice and cool. You open up at night and let all the cool air in, the hot air out, and then you close up again in the morning. And hope it holds. When I first moved out here in 2003 over to Bozeman, little crow there, I moved from Northern Virginia, and it was, the day I left, I think it was 97 degrees and almost 100% humidity. I got out here, well, to Bozeman, and it was over 100 degrees for 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how accurate my memory was. But it was awesome because there was no humidity, and I could do just like I said, close the blinds during the day, open up the windows at night, and it was very nice. Even outside, as long as you weren't in the sun, it was pretty nice. Looks like a more informal trail over there. Let's do that. I'm gonna walk heavy through this grass. You can see kind of the grasshoppers launching off. I'd hate to also startle any snakes. I believe the only venomous snake in Montana is the prairie rattler, which I may have said before. And they're one of the least aggressive rattlesnakes. So if you give them room and space, they'll leave you alone. But it still gives you a shot of adrenaline when you step in some tall grass and hear that rattle. So I'm walking heavy, letting them know I'm coming. Little residential area below here. You can see the Wells Fargo Bank building, the First Interstate Bank building to the right, and then the big brown building to the left is the Doubletree Hotel. And then, I know you can't really pick it out, but MSU Billings is down there. A big center for medical information, or medical services, sorry. We just hit 15,000 subscribers this morning. That's a pretty big milestone, considering it last January 2019 I hit 1,000 and monetization. So for a while there I was growing at 12% a month, and I think in the summer weather grew really quickly during the quarantine, but now people are anxious to get outside and do their walking in the nice weather, which is awesome. I think that's great for people who can do that. And the reason I was talking about going into the analytics of the channel, and one of the reasons I came to Billings, I'm gonna walk a little bit further, then go back up the path, is it's one of the most searched terms right now for my channel. And because I want to make sure people get what they are looking for, I came out to Billings to do a couple walks. Look how perilous, not perilous, but quite the drop there. However, the downside of that is Billings is the hot spot for COVID-19 in Montana right now. I think there are almost twice as many cases here as the next highest. A lot in retirement home type venues, full care facilities kind of thing. But relatively speaking, compared to places like Arizona and Texas and Louisiana and California, that's I think there's 1,500 total cases in the Billings area, something like that, maybe 2,000. So still relatively light compared to other states, but in Montana, you look at our map, and it's definitely the reddest of the reds. So, unfortunately, I won't be going inside any establishments today, but I will be showing you some really good restaurants in the next walk, which will be downtown, some of my favorites in the area. They've got a lot of great breweries and restaurants and shops and that sort of thing. They've done a lot to really build up their city and their cultural offerings. And it's not just, I used to drive by on the highway and see the refinery and think, oh, it's kind of bleak. And they've got a ways to go, but they've definitely got a lot going on downtown now. I think they have a minor league baseball team. They have a university, and of course the Yellowstone River is right there. They sell themselves as the trailhead to Montana. They're kind of in the south central location. And I think I'm going to head back up to the main trail here. Hope you've enjoyed these amazing views. We'll still have the views up here. We'll just be a little bit further away from the edge. I can find a quick route, and maybe I'll stick with it for a little bit. One of the challenges of having a channel built around travel, hold on. We're headed into the wind, so all the airplanes are coming right over our heads to land. One of the challenges of having a channel built on travel is that, we'll go up here. It's harder to travel now. So normally I would take a road trip and get a bunch of walks in and share them out over a couple weeks. But that's harder to do responsibly these days. So I'm choosing to look at that as a benefit to an opportunity to show you guys around the cities and towns of Montana. We've got a bunch of small town walks, trail walks. Before it gets too cold, I'm going to try and do a few more down in Yellowstone. A few more around Bozeman, trails over there, and like that. So we're on the road-ish thing, and then over there is the main trail, bike and pedestrian trail. So far this year I've done 3 forks, Big Timber. Can't remember when I did Manhattan, but 3 forks. Still need to do Belgrade. Probably do Big Sky this winter during the ski season. Did it last fall, I think. But I'd like to go up and do the resort section. Then we've got Missoula. I could do another walk or two over there. Whitefish, and I'm trying to think now. I feel like we have more. Of course, Bozeman and Livingston, Butte. Listing off all the cities. One of the few more I'm going to do Red Lodge for you guys, and I'm going to film Lewistown and Whitehall. Dillon is a big one. Not a big city, but a very cool city, home of one of the Patagonia outlets, and a lot of other small towns in the state, which all have their peculiar charms and picturesqueness, is that a word? Up here to the right is a parking lot, and there, I think it's the Trinity Hot Shots, and I think Hot Shots are wildfire crews, and they'll go out when there's a forest fire and work on putting those out, or at least containing them. We have been very lucky this year out west in not having a lot of fires. In the past few years it's been really pretty bad, almost to the point where we might not even be able to see downtown from here. The smoke would get so bad, often from fires in Washington or California or even Alaska at times. We've had a couple smoky days so far, but not bad. And given that it's 100 degrees today, or will be, very, very dry. The fire conditions are pretty, well, it's a red flag warning, which means that I think no fires, no burn permits, nothing like that. I'm not sure why these hotshot trucks are parked up here, although I saw some folks working out, so maybe they're doing some physical training. You think about what they have to do to fight these fires. They carry, 50, 60 pounds of packs in hot weather with fire protection gear. They have to be in really good shape. So it says park hours are 5 to 10 p.m., 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. And don't throw objects off the Rimrocks. And we'll go over here, show you these trucks are kind of interesting. Got crew cabs on the back. They fall under the U.S. Forest Service. Sorry, I got a fly that's bugging me. I head back over here to the trail. Look at all these hoppers. I call them hoppers because that's what fly fishermen refer to them as, grasshoppers. And it's a big juicy snack for trout when they're in season, the hoppers. Lots of different fly tying patterns. If you're interested in fly tying, I have another YouTube channel called The Weekly Fly. You can check that out. It's really an interesting art form. And not just for trout, but a lot of saltwater species and bass, perch, that sort of thing. Muskie. Very interesting. So it's also a major, well, for Montana, transportation corridor here in Billings. I think you can hear the horn of the train down there, which kind of follows the I-90 Yellowstone River path all the way across. Well, until it hits Livingston, then it just keeps going west through Missoula and points west. Another good view. This is MSU Billings down below here, and if you look left, just at the end of the trees there is the, I believe that's the baseball stadium for the minor league team, possibly also for MSU Billings. Just wanted to give you a quick look down there before we keep going. A little romance up ahead. Morning. Hi. Love the grasses and the yucca plants up here. Just speaks of the west. And looking ahead, you can see where there's a kind of a curve in of the Rimrock cliff, and then you can see it jutting out further again, and you can see sort of the structure of this cliff. I'm a little surprised that that there's not more homes up here, but maybe that's an ownership issue in terms of publicly owned land. Certainly at the base of the Rimrocks is, as we look forward here, is one of the tonier areas, I believe, of the city, residential area. See over there the hangars for various jets, private planes. I don't know how busy this airport is. I know the one in Bozeman keeps expanding. They can't quite keep up with demand. And a lot of that traffic over there is private jets of millionaires and billionaires headed up to the Yellowstone Club at Big Sky, next to Big Sky. I've got my opinions about that as well. We, speaking of that, the number of tourists visiting Montana this year has boomed. Especially people looking to camp and RV. We were looking at going up at the North Fork of the Flathead near Kalispell, and called the Forest Service up there because we were going to float the river, and they said it was overrun. Certainly we've seen that at our trailheads here. Lots of out-of-state plates, lots of RVs, hard to get a campsite, especially on the weekends. And while we welcome visitors here in Montana for sure, it is a little bit fraught in these times of COVID, and does give you a pause every once in a while. Most people are good about wearing masks and social distancing, but it's always a little bit of a concern. A lot of people are actually moving out here, and home prices are going through the roof. Even more than before. They were pretty expensive to begin with, but people from LA are even shocked at the prices that people are paying for pretty small little houses. $500,000 at times. And you know, that's another change is part of life, and we have to adapt to it, but it does make it challenging for people making Montana wages. But as I said, it's pretty welcoming out here. People very friendly, very helpful, very positive for the most part. Morning.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Case in point. I've got a little viewfinder, LCD viewfinder with how long we've been recording. I have to get into the age where I have to hold it out almost to the full extent of my arm to be able to read it and see what I'm filming. I've even started to carry some reading glasses, but like many people my age, we, I guess, are famous for losing our reading glasses. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up here right around 35 minutes, looks like, 36 minutes. I want to thank you guys for joining me. One last look at Billings from above. It's a beautiful city, lots to offer. It's a great trail up here along the Rimrocks, and beautiful views. Definitely highly recommend coming up here for a sunset or a sunrise if you can do that. Thank you again for joining us. Leave us a comment below, click that bell, subscribe, and click the like button. But most of all, come back next time and share with your friends. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time, and until then, happy walking.